Sup dogs, and welcome back to Monthly Developer Review. Hey Did I scare you? I came to the realization that, you know what, I'm a channel trying to make horror games. It only makes sense to make my channel a little bit more spookier too, right? So, expect that from now on. April. What color does April make you think of? I want to say blue. Yeah, probably blue. Blue. April showers bring May flowers. So I guess next month is yellow. Anyway, if you're new to MDR, then this is a series where I recap my previous month, the month of April, all the things I did in my latest project, Captive YAMI, as well as all the other shenanigans I did that month. Now, with that said, let's get started. So first of all, Captive is a horror thriller game where you play as Aylin. She is an online personality who happens to get, as you can imagine, kidnapped. After a short introduction from your kidnapper, he invites you up to dinner, where at this point comes the biggest decision you have to make. Will you try to look around, gather clues to make your escape, or will you attempt your charisma, try and make him believe you're actually into him, in hopes he'll let his guard down and for you to get an edge over him. Now, as for all the things I've done in April, I actually made some pretty good progress. So there's really 3 paths here. The 2 that I mentioned are just now, but the third path is the odd choice, where you actually allow yourself to fall in love with your kidnapper, aka Stockholm Syndrome. And in this path, well, you can also get to know the dude a little bit more. I say it like he's an okay guy. So throughout the game, he tries to push you his game in hopes that you'll play it and learn about his past a bit. And I had to come up with a way on how I wanted to do this. I knew that in the back of my head that I wanted to make it look a little bit more amateur. Like, on one hand, I thought about just using RTP assets, but overall I decided that it kind of took away from the tone of the serious and darkness that is throughout the game, so I decided to do it a little bit differently. I know this is a little bit of a stereotype when it comes to psychological horror games, but you are walking down a dark path and all you see is just little graphics of major events that had occurred in his life. And with each event, you learn a little bit more about him. And you know what? I even went as far as to create a mini battle. And who knows? Maybe there's another one. So, if you're pretty much a normal person like everyone else, your first thought is not to fall in love with the dude, but to make your escape. But if you enjoy the game enough to replay some of the parts and actually get to know the guy and go down this third path, well, you get to enjoy the battle. Or battles. I'm trying to sell this to you. Play this third path. But by the way, what do you think about that graphic? Isn't it kind of silly? Silly fun, actually. I kind of enjoy it. Especially the one dude that's like doing that. I think it's like hilarious. I'm actually slowly starting to enjoy pixel art a little bit more now that I know what sort of style that I'm aiming for. It's actually pretty great. I also started working on the Steam game page. Still a little bit of work to do. I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that I do get this up in time when this video releases. And if that's true, then you probably see it down here. But if you don't see anything here, then man, I guess you're just gonna have to wait a little longer. But to go alongside that, I am also creating a teaser trailer. And this is actually kind of funny, because when it comes to teaser trailers, yeah, you can just take clips of your game, but I just have this like vision that I'm trying to aim and go for. And in order to do that, I have to create some maps and invent some stuff specific for the teaser trailer. Like, here's a screenshot from it. And this screenshot is nowhere in the game. It's exclusive for this trailer and for the trailer only. But it pretty much describes the game very, very accurately. Like, I see it commonly done for film, but it's kind of just funny to do it for a small indie game. But good news, that trailer is pretty much complete. I'm just going through the final edits of it, and once that's done, it will launch alongside with the game page, and of course I will throw it up on the YouTube channel. And of course, if it is already up, then you can check it out right now. The text that popped up will tell you if it did or not. And that practically caps off my April for Captive. I am currently working on music, and it's weird, and I'm probably jinxing myself, but things are actually coming a lot easier for this project than it did with Caster's Trap. Like, if you've seen those devlogs and followed me throughout that process, you know that I struggled so hard when it came to making the music. But for this one, I'm actually doing a lot better. I don't know what happened. It like just all clicked all of a sudden. Like, I think that I'm also able to navigate through Bitwig a little bit easier. Like, I'm starting to understand the different categories of instrument and how it helps supports a piece of music. So yeah, I think it's going by a lot faster and a lot smoother. Although I will say that with Captive, it is more atmospheric and more ambiance than it is epic or melodies that came with Caster's Trap. So there is that difference there, and that could be the main reason why. But I do want to think that something did click, and I am developing through music. Yeah, creating music, I don't actually know the term for it. Scripting music, I'm going through that process a little bit easier, and I'm proud to say that. Actually, you know what I think it is? I think I'm just more confident in my piece than it is anything else. Like, I still wouldn't say that what I create is, it's more like, but I'm more comfortable with what I create now, so yeah. So currently what I've got going on now and what I see myself doing throughout the month of May is going through the game from start to end, polishing it up, fixing as much grammar issue as I can spot, and then of course just linking different transitions from intro to night 1 to dinner 1 to day 2 and all those sort of things, but also replacing a lot of the old sound effects, because currently I just had a lot of the RTP as placeholder and I'm recreating a lot of it. I'm also doing the process for sound effects a little bit different than I did with Caster's Trap. I think with Caster's Trap I kind of catered for Caster's Trap only, but now I'm trying to create sound effects with more of a generic, not necessarily more generic sound, but for generic sound effects like doorknobs and that sort of thing. I'm taking it, I'm storing it into a database so that for when I work on a future project, everything will start coming together a lot more faster and a lot more smoother. Alright, and that's pretty much it. That's all I got going on for Captive. YAMI! You are my idol, by the way, in case you were wondering. And with that said, let's move on to the next topic. So my month of April was a very traveling one, and it's gonna continue to travel. I was gone for April 8th through the 12th for a work travel trip. I tend to keep work, professional career separate from my hobbies. As I made it clear, YouTube, game dev, just a hobby. Professional career, that's what allows me to live under this roof, and also the frozens in my refrigerator. But yeah, anyways, I won't be talking too much about what went on in my trip, but I went down to Tennessee, and the area is it's okay. If I were to give Tennessee a rating, I would give it a 6 out of 10. I went to Oak Ridge to be specific, but I did spend some time down over in Knoxville. I can't really say it's too exciting. I went to the heart of downtown Knoxville and it had some cool stuff going on. It had some pretty nice scenery, but not a whole lot that I really felt whoa and overwhelmed by. It was more like, oh yeah, that's kind of nice. I will say that Tennessee is more spread out, or at least over in Oak Ridge, where you have a building here, and then where I'm from, I live in the Boston area of Massachusetts, so everything's more tightly packed. But in Tennessee, I would see a building, then I would see what should have been another building, followed by another building, and then I get an actual building. If that makes sense at all. Basically what I'm saying is that I would not get a bicycle or something, or even an electric bike or anything like that to navigate my way through Tennessee. I would much rather get a car, because things are just spaced out a little bit more further apart than it is in Boston. But I will say that the food down there is pretty awesome. Barbecue, of course, was very, very tasty. And my god, it was so much cheaper down there than over here. Even in the city. Like, what I would pay $20 to $30 in Boston, I'll be paying 10 to 20 down there. So, that's pretty sweet. Other than that, the housing market is also a lot cheaper. Something that's $800,000 here, it's probably like $300,000 down there. So some consideration if you're a work from home sort of person or trying to see that towards your future. But yeah, overall, I don't think I'll be living down in Tennessee. No offense to anyone who lives down there. See ya, Tennessee. It was cool. Now I do have another trip, and that's over to Austin, Texas. Also another work travel trip. It bleeds into May, but it's towards the end of April, so I don't know. Haven't really seen too much of Austin, Texas, like even on the web, so I have no idea what to expect besides really hot and humid weather. That's about it. Oh, and probably awesome barbecue as well. Guess we'll see how that goes in the May edition of MDR. On to the next topic. So I know there's been a lot of hoopla going on with this channel called Watcher, and the only reason I want to talk about it is because I am a fan of theirs. If anyone who enjoys those little spooky ghost videos, then you probably heard of BuzzFeed Unsolved, where Ryan and Shane goes and investigates these haunted location, gather evidence, and provides it to us. Well, they left BuzzFeed and created a company called Watcher during the pandemic, and they decided to do it with their buddy Stephen Lim. So the three of those guys are the head of Watcher. If you don't know Stephen Lim, then he's quite popular for the BuzzFeed show Worth It. Now over on Watcher, they're quite popular for a couple of different things. With Ryan and Shane, they continue their ghost investigations through a series called Ghost Files, as well as another fun little series called Mystery Files. That one is a little bit different, but hey, I digress. Steven, on the other hand, he did start a couple of shows himself called Home Cooked, but he did end up being the CEO of the company, where Ryan and Shane decided that they did not want to be CEO of the company. Anyway, what happened was that on the 19th of April, they made an announcement that they were going to leave YouTube to push their content solely, or 95% solely, on their streaming platform. It is their very own platform on their very own website. So not on Netflix, not on Hulu, just their Watcher platform. And as you can imagine, this got the community outraged. Like, when I saw the title that said goodbye YouTube, I was like, okay, they're probably going on to a streaming service, aren't they? Please, at the very least, let it be like Netflix or Hulu or something like that, so that I can continue to watch them and not have to pay extra bucks for their own personal streaming service. It was their own personal streaming service. So to give you a little bit more of the deets, their plan was to show the first episode of every new season or every new show on YouTube, and then the remainder of that season on Watcher. Watcher was planned or is planned to be $6 a month or $60 for the entire year. And in the video, while it is shot and scripted in such a way that it felt very dramatized and made to make you feel a certain way, like basically sad about them leaving, their message didn't feel really genuine. It felt very much like, well, YouTube, it's been great. Thanks for the views. Peace out. Hopefully you'll buy and pay for this Watcher platform. That's basically how it felt. And I think a lot of the other fans can feels the same way. There was a lot of angry comments, and you know what? I'm very glad that everyone else was angry about it, because 3 days later on Monday, or I guess 2 days later on Monday, they came out with an apology video. And they pretty much took 99% of it back, where they are going to stay on YouTube, but the Watcher platform will still exist. And the Watcher platform will be designed for any fans who wants to catch their content a month earlier. But they also mentioned this. If you're a Patreon subscriber, let us know, because you'll now have that platform for free. Which is honestly, wow. So previously on Friday, anyone who was a Patreon also had to pay for the Watcher platform. Yikes. Anyway, I do consider myself a fan, and I won't talk about this topic too much because I know that YouTube's been overly saturated with a lot of talk about it. But my 2 cents on it is, I've watched these guys for a long time. Not so much Steven as Ryan and Shane, but I have seen a good amount of his worth it and all of his videos over on Watcher. And I do gotta say that these 3 boys, they're genuine guys. They're good guys, you know. I think that at some point it got in over their heads. They want to push out very, very high quality content. I think what they're thinking of are like high budget films or TV shows that you would normally find on Netflix or Hulu or even live TV. But I think they're forgetting that they're on the platform YouTube. And with YouTube, the budget is your own. You only have so many sponsors to make what you gotta make. Basically, they got in over their heads. They flew too close to the sun. But us, fans of Watcher and the Ghoul Boys plus Steven, we were able to humble them. We brought them back down to earth, told them, hey guys, listen, this is what we actually enjoy. Your chemistry, your personality, you guys. So with that said, yeah, I do still feel a bit of the pain. I feel like those 3 went up to me, stabbed me, removed a knife, put a band-aid, and said, hey, yeah, our bad. Hopefully it'll heal. And it will heal over time. I do feel a little bit of that betrayal, but I've watched their content long enough to know that they're good and decent guys, and I'm willing to trust that they will turn around and do better or return to the good side. If they do end up doing this again, then we'll know that they're actually sleazeballs just looking for money. But as I've said, I'm pretty sure they're rather genuine people. Will I stay subscribed? Absolutely. Will I buy their merch? Probably not anytime soon. On to the next topic. One Piece, the card game. It's a big part of my life, so of course that's why I decided to talk about it. Even if you guys don't care about One Piece or don't play the game whatsoever. But this month, I placed first a total of 2 times. Let's go! I'm a monster. I'm undefeatable. Meanwhile, the next weekend, I went 2 wins and 2 losses. So Yeah. But anyway, if you do play the game, this is the leader that I play, and this is the card I won in the first tournament that had roughly 15 people. Ta-da! It's Sabo, for anyone who actually watches the anime, trying to get into focus. It's a rather expensive card. It's a promo. It's an alternate art of a card that came in a main set. So it's not like the card itself is hard to obtain. It's just that the alternate art is hard to obtain. And boom! Check out that value. And then for the second tournament, that one had roughly 20-ish people. And for that tournament, I won 11 packs, which is hard to come by because the trading card TCG world is absolutely awful. And Bandai does a horrible job with how much they push out. But of those 11 packs, I was able to get... Oh wait, my friend's still holding on to it. Well, here's a picture. And that lady right up front, Reiju, she's worth... Boom! Feels good to play first. Feels good to place first. I do have a major regionals tournament coming up in the second week of May. So if you're interested in following content on that, well, they will be in the form of stories over on my Instagram. So, on to the next topic. I actually choked on that one. On Netflix, there's a show called Parasyte The Grey. And when I first saw it on Netflix, I was like, oh my god, they spell it just like the anime. Is this a live adaptation of the anime? And then in the description, it did not mention the series at all. So I was like 90% thinking it's probably not, and then 10% thinking, but what if it is? And then lo and behold, it is! Overall, it's a pretty good show. If you've never seen the anime, then it's a very nice one if you're into the horror thrillers type of animes. Parasyte The Grey, on the other hand, is more of a drama horror than anything else. It really follows on the feels and vibes of the main character or main cast. For the most part, I enjoyed it. The CG at times looked very CG, but it was just really cool to see like one of my favorite animes at the time to become a live action. If you like Parasyte, the anime, then I think you'll like Parasyte The Grey. Now for the spoiler portion, and this is talking about the one thing I did not like about Parasyte The Grey. 3, 2, 1. The detective. Throughout the first few episodes, the series really built the relationship between the main character and the detective. Sorry, I watched this at the beginning of April, so I'm blanking out on names right now. It really gave you the sense and the vibe that, hey, this detective was there for the main character in the beginning, so there's a chance that, or there's a very high chance that the main character will come and save the detective later on in the show. Well, come down to his episode, he dies. And he died in a way that didn't really leave too many ripples for the rest of the characters, and especially our main character of the show. Like, yeah, she was sad, she cried, she was depressed in the next episode, but she didn't really have that opportunity to have her monologue or anything like that to really express how she felt. And even in the final battle where she fights the parasite that has taken over him and uses his face, she doesn't have like this huge meaningful expression. Like there was all this tension that was built up, and it was kind of just left there. I don't know, it just didn't really feel resolved for me. Like, I get in the context of being a horror show, characters will die, even your main and favorite characters, but I feel like his character has not been fully resolved, either through the eyes of another character, our main character, or with him. Like, looking at it right now, I feel as though the detective was only a character to make us feel sad when he died. Like, he had no other purpose to the main character than just that. He feels very used, I guess. And with that, I would argue makes his character feels a bit unresolved. One thing I will say that I very much enjoyed was seeing our main boy at the very end of the series. That was sick. On to the next show. I watched Dr. Stone. First 2 seasons of Dr. Stone. I'm actually quite surprised I was able to watch 2